one thing I'm noticing, I mean, everywhere I go to speak, whether it's England, Italy, Brazil, where I've gone a number of times and so on, the upper middle class professional women are very unhappy. They're very unhappy. They may have power, they may have a nice lifestyle and so on, but the misery quotient is high. Okay, and what I'm saying, okay, as a feminist, is that the women have to stop blaming men for their sense of malaise or misery. Okay, it's not men. There's been a cultural change. An enormous change has happened. All right, for the first time in history, men and women are working side by side in an environment. Right? Men and women are having more contact with each other than they ever did. Okay? There used to be in the agrarian era, for all those tens of thousands of years, the world of men and the world of women. And those two worlds didn't come together that often. So I can still remember it, okay, in that end of the agrarian era that I experienced in childhood. Okay? The women had their own world. They ruled the private sphere. Right? All day, it was multi-generational. Okay? There was a solidarity that women had. They were in charge of a tremendous amount of life. And the men, you would come together for dinner, okay? But, the men had their own world. And, I remember the men, when the men would come over to my grandmother's house, my grandfather would be sitting there. They would be drinking. I could smell the coffee with the anisette, they would put alongside of it, and the smoking, etc. And the men, we would have the men, okay? And then the women had their own thing, okay? So I think that what women are feeling right now is a sense of displacement, okay, and loneliness, okay, because it's the collapse of the extended family, okay, the multi-generational family, into this nuclear family. It could be that this nuclear family thing is toxic, okay, all right. This thing of like a man, a husband and a wife and children in a home, in a nice house. It could be like a horrible prison. It could be like a crucible for Freudian neurosis, okay, and so on, okay. Never in history, okay, have you had this entrapment of the children with the parents, okay. The parents are now, now they're responsible for everything, okay. And then the richer, the wealthier, okay, the more affluent, a wife and so on, with children, okay, the less likely she is going to be able to rely on neighbors, okay, to like pitch in for her, okay. Can you imagine something Scarsdale, the wife or whatever, okay, something comes up, okay, she needs to run somewhere to do something, to say to her neighbor, okay, can you watch the kids for for a couple of hours? Oh, sure, okay, that's really going to happen, okay. Sometimes you hardly know the neighbors, okay, right? So oddly enough, many working class neighborhoods, you have much more of an integration there and a familiarity, because on the whole, working class people don't move, okay, as much. Okay, they often grow up in neighborhoods where they grew up. They know everybody, etc. Right? And it's a feature even in South Philadelphia to this day. In those row houses in South Philadelphia, the Italian section, and so on, people sit on the stoop. Okay, they watch everything that goes by. Okay, they're monitoring the way kids behave in the street. Okay, there was a whole village quality. In the old village life, there was a sense of community and a sense of belonging, a sense of identity. And now today, people have to struggle. Young people have to struggle for an identity. Okay, have to struggle. Okay, everyone feels very displaced. Right. Another thing, okay, is that the higher up you go in terms of affluence, the less likely it is that you on vacations that you'll be vacationing with your relatives. Okay. Right? You know what I'm saying? In other words, people who are flying to St. Bart's, are not taking their parents. Okay, they're not taking all the cousins and so on. Right? But when I go to I drive an hour, go to the New Jersey shore, okay, where working class families go in the wildwoods and so on, you see multi-generational vacationing. Okay, all the generations. You see the children running around. You see the parents, and you see the old people. They're sitting there in their chairs, like this, and so on. The water's lapping their feet, and so on. I'm going, this is amazing. This is a capsule, okay, of what life used to be like. That contact among all the generations. Okay, and the same thing in Philadelphia, the parks, like Fairmount Park and so on any Sunday, any weekend. You go there, and it's working class families who are taking over the park benches in the barbecue pits and are spending the whole day there multi-generations, all together, free, okay, to go to the park, okay, right? So that's why you're getting more and more neurosis the higher up you go in terms of affluence, okay? You know, that's why you have some of the most privileged young people, you know, in our society getting into the elite schools and, you know, having to take antidepressants and, you know, throwing themselves out of windows and everything else, okay? Because mere material affluence isn't enough, okay, you know, for identity. So actually, the stronger personalities seem to be coming from working class culture, you know, because they have a sense of their own, you know, place in the universe. Okay? They aren't being shipped around every place. All right. So I think there's a lot of psychological ills in the culture, but I'm calling for a moratorium on this anti-male stuff. Okay. All right. Feminism has gotten very contaminated with anti-male rhetoric. It's completely unnecessary. Okay. All the problems in the world are not due to men. Okay. A lot of problems are due to this systemic change that happened. Okay. In this new era that we belong to. All right. Well, I mean, we want to have questions, so I should stop. All right. Shouldn't I just stop? All right.